purpose of creating Chapter 55 to establish procedures for the demolition of structures.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. So this is a public hearing on Ordinance 1058, and everyone who's here this evening to speak may do so. I will call upon citizens who filled out a form first, and after that, if anyone in the audience wishes to speak, raise your hand and be recognized. So I will start with Ms. Jean Johnson. Good evening, Ms. Johnson, and welcome to the public hearing. May we please have your name and address for the record?
Sure thing. Jean Montgomery Johnson, 666 Chesapeake Drive, Havre de Grace.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Martin and Council. I do serve on the City Historic Preservation Commission, as some of you no doubt know, but I'm here just with comments of my own relative to the proposed ordinance on demolition procedures that we're considering tonight. As I wrote earlier to the council, the proposed ordinance, in my view, is a good start, but not enough to preserve historic streetscapes in our Tidewater town. A demolition delay process is not included in the ordinance and should be, in my view. The ordinance does codify some good procedures, got some good aspects to it, public and agency notifications, inspections, environmental protections at all, but does nothing, in my view, to protect our historic assets with a legal tool such as demolition delay. In my view, an ordinance that is preservation-friendly should include a demolition delay provision. Demolition delays have been used as legal tools in towns and cities, particularly in New England, but also in the South and in the West. They slow down, even prevent, in some cases, demolitions, and give communities the chance to consider social and environmental impacts of the destruction of existing structures, and possibly to find solutions, whether in a preservation-minded buyer, in an adaptive, creative reuse of the property, even a relocation of the historic structure, or at the bare minimum, a salvage of the building materials from the demolished structure. The ordinance before us now, as is the case now, currently, requires the determination of appropriateness for any demolitions by the Historic Preservation Commission if the property is located in our NRHD. As is the case now, this proposed ordinance provides no way for the community to pause or stop a demolition. Currently, the HPC has little lead time when hearing about a demolition application, and a demolition delay provision, in my view, again, would be a valuable tool for the HPC to do our work more effectively in protecting our historic assets. A quick review of the well-studied benefits of historic preservation teaches us that preservation, believe it or not, it's true, is often less expensive than new construction. A pause in the demolition process particularly means that owners might reconsider their intentions to replace a historic structure, now a harmonious structure with the streetscape, with a building out of time, a structure that does not conform with the designs of its neighbors in scale, size, setbacks, and height. It only takes a short walk, believe me, and I know you all know this, around town to see both suburban-style houses, newly constructed, looking simply out of place, and other new houses designed and built to respect the streetscape. Also, as our history, our collective history of our collective understanding of our history evolves, discoveries are made about earlier times that truly inform our actions now. Who could have imagined that years ago the city did not envision the iconic attraction that the Concord Point Lighthouse is today? That is true. Or the Susquehanna Museum at the Lock House, then a rundown and neglected and frankly scary place, the anchor now to the city's north end for tourists and students alike. Preservation is not only about protecting historic structures and streetscapes, though. It's about our community. It's about our social fabric and our shared history Historic preservation is about structures and streetscapes, yes, but it most surely is about the life and times of the people who lived here, who traveled through here, and who came before us. Keeping the charming spaces of Havre de Grace, heights, setbacks, water views, architectural style diversity, tree canopy for the present and the future are really essential. It's about the beauty of our streets. It's about the neighborhoods that people want to walk in. It's about knowing where we came from and understanding the people who came before us. As a community, I think, and I'm sure you would all agree, we've done some wonderful projects to keep our history front and center, especially now that we approach our history making in a more inclusive and frankly honest way, embracing the stories of all people in our town, including our Black citizens. Finally, the Historic Preservation Commission needs the legal tool, like a demolition delay, to help save our history. There's only one town in America, only one with our history. Truly, there's only one. And as our little HPC flags we gave to you all last month proclaim, our history is worth preserving. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. I'd like to call forward Ms. Bonnie Bradford. Good evening, Ms. Bradford. May you please have your full name and address for the record?
Good evening. Nice to see you. My name is Bonnie Bradford, and I spoke about the proposed demolition ordinance in the City Council meeting 2 weeks ago on July 19th. I raised concerns at that time about the disastrous demolition of 300 Market Street in Havre de Grace, which was carried out over 2 days without any regard for public safety and put residents and businesses at risk for lead poisoning and asbestos exposure. To summarize some of the main points for those who have not heard this before, no notice was given to any of us as neighbors that the demolition would be taking place so that we could prepare. Both days of the demolition were done completely dry, which should never happen in a demolition because of the dust, the toxic dust that is generated. No hoses were used to keep the surfaces wet. Both days were also very windy, so lead paint and likely asbestos were blown all over the neighborhood. No barricades were put around the demolition. No signs were posted to alert people that a demolition was in process, and no protections were taken against lead and asbestos exposure. As I mentioned before, the effects of lead poisoning can be lifelong and devastating. Lead poisoning, including poisoning from lead dust generated in demolitions, is a preventable health problem. Asbestos fibers released into the air can also have lifelong devastating effects. As I mentioned last time, it can take just one asbestos fiber in the lungs to cause long-term damage, and it can lead to lung cancer 20 to 30 years in the future. My concerns and my recommendations 2 weeks ago about language that should be changed in the ordinance still stand, and I would want these to be included as the ordinance continues to be reviewed and discussed. Because the rules and regulations for demolitions are so important, in particular related to lead and asbestos exposure, I wanted to continue in these past 2 weeks to do due diligence on the language used in the ordinance. I sought legal counsel from Macy Nelson, who heads the law office of Macy Nelson, LLC, on the proposed demolition ordinance, including whether or not the ordinance ensures compliance with state and federal regulations, as it sets out to do. By way of background, Mr. Nelson's firm represents clients in the areas of environmental law, litigation, appellate practice, and land use and zoning. He has been recognized as a Maryland super lawyer in the area of environmental litigation since 2015. He's been one of Maryland's most active and successful environmental lawyers since the mid-1980s. His appellate cases have shaped Maryland's environmental and land use law. Since the mid-1990s, he has represented citizens in land use and zoning cases throughout Maryland. He has successfully litigated environmental cases in Maryland and Washington, D.C., including Maryland's trial and appellate courts and the federal trial courts in Maryland. Mr. Nelson provided specific language changes in several sections of the ordinance. The intent from a legal standpoint is to further strengthen the ordinance and to help ensure that it complies with state and federal standards. I would like to review these now as well as provide some commentary. I also prepared a markup of these sections, which you all now have, that go along with my remarks today. As you'll see overall, citizens need to be able to track notices of demolitions, receive adequate notice of demolitions, and there needs to be more robust notice of demolitions to more people than currently covered in the ordinance. So in section 55.4, demolition procedures, the comment or the statement, if the building or structure is to be raised by anyone other than the property owner, this should be deleted. It's worrisome language. According to legal advice, it provides a loophole for owners themselves to forego permitting by not hiring a contractor, which would cause substantially more issues. The next item is 55.4b, item 2. Currently, it reads, if no asbestos or lead is known to be present, then a statement certifying the same shall be included with the application. This should be deleted and replaced with the following text. If after testing, neither lead nor asbestos are determined to be present, then a statement certifying the same shall be included with the application. Any structure built before 1980 will be presumed to contain lead and asbestos and subject to additional scrutiny in accordance with state regulations on abatement before issuing a certification of absence. It's not good enough to say that there's no lead or asbestos known to be present. The assumption should be that lead and asbestos are present in structures built before 1980, and testing and other measures are needed to determine that lead and asbestos are not present. The current language reads in item 4, the contractor shall contact the owner or applicant to schedule an inspection of the building or structure to be raised at least 5 days prior to the scheduled demolition. According to legal counsel, 5 days is quote unquote woefully lacking in the opinion of counsel. 5 days should be replaced with at least 30 days, at least 30 days prior to the scheduled demolition. Item 7, the applicant shall be required to install on-site sediment and erosion control rather than may be required. Item number 10 currently reads, the department shall notify by certified mail all adjacent property owners that physically abut the property or are across a street or road from the building or structure to be demolished within 10 days of the scheduled demolition. This should be deleted and replaced with the applicant shall notify by certified mail all property owners within 500 feet of a straight line from the closest point on the property line within 30 days of the scheduled demolition. The department shall concurrently publish notice of a scheduled demolition on the city website. Note that in this change, the costs of the notification would be covered by the applicant and not the city. It also allows an inexpensive method for the city to notify people by posting a notice on the city website. And the last point is that in item 14, no burning shall be allowed in association with a demolition project without prior approval by the mayor and city council. It's advised to add Any demolition involving friable asbestos must be fully wetted down to avoid particulate distribution. This reiterates the need to comply with state of Maryland codes. So my main goal in speaking out about unsafe demolitions taking place here in Havre is to prevent any more children, pregnant women, and people of all ages from being exposed to lead and asbestos in demolitions done without any regard to the safety and well-being of residents and visitors here. There are many older homes here in the historic district of Havre de Grace. Precautions are needed in working with lead and asbestos generally, including during demolition of structures. Demolitions need to be done with clearly outlined safety measures in place. All of the festivals and fun activities meant to draw tourists and to attract people who want to live here, especially those who want to live in and visit a historic town, will be overshadowed by unsafe demolition procedures. Who wants to live in a town or visit a town where someone can literally walk straight into toxic lead dust and asbestos without warning at any time? These language changes are meant to strengthen the ordinance and help ensure that we do the right thing for our families, our children, our neighbors, and visitors to our city. Let's strengthen the ordinance so unsafe demolitions do not continue to take place here. I trust that this is possible and that we can work together to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bradford.
Bonnie, one question. One question. What did you state your address was?
Pardon me?
What's your address?
Oh, I'm sorry. 317 Fountain Street here in Havre de Grace.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next speaker, I'd like to call forward Mr. Nick Galoro. Good evening, sir. Welcome. May we please have your full name and address for the
Mayor,
record?
Council, Nick Galoro, 350 Bourbon Street.
Welcome.
Hi. These are just observations from a resident. I don't have anything to add to Jean and Bonnie's eloquent presentation. Where I live, I've watched 3 houses come down and get demolished. These seem to be historical houses, and they're gone forever. One, I understand, at 300 Market Street had something to do with a logging manager that handled logs that was floated down the Susquehanna River. I didn't look into that. I'm sure you all know more about that. Well, that's gone. The other one, Strawberry Lane and Congress, it's gone. Another one across the street from 300, an old house, it's gone. Once they're gone, they're gone. One of the places I used to live was South Beach in Miami. They were facing similar situations. There was a woman whose name lives in perpetuity. Barbara Capitman stood before her council in Miami and pleaded for the non-demolition of the Art Deco hotels, which was slated. She single-handedly took them on and got support and won. And now these things are gems that tourists flock toward. You know, I'm not saying some of these old houses will be like that. It's just, it's worth slowing down and thinking about it. The ordinance, if it gets some kind of consideration for at least slowing it down, I think that's a step in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, I'd like to call forward Carol Allen. Good evening, Ms. Allen. May we please have your full name and address for the record?
Carol Allen, 814 Market Street here in Havre de Grace. And
Welcome.
I'd like to introduce myself as the new executive director at Concord Point Lighthouse, one of the icons of the city. Some might say the icon of the city. And I just wanted to say a quick word about the event application that you'll be looking at later this evening. And just to say that I hope you will approve it. And I would like to give a shout out in particular to Tammy Brinkman, who's been very helpful to me as a new leader of one of the cultural institutions in this city in sort of navigating the ins and outs of city procedures. And I'll be available if you have any questions when that comes up.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, that is all of the pre-filled out forms I have for public hearing on Ordinance 1058. Is there any member of the audience at large that wishes to speak on Ordinance 1058? Any comments from council members? Okay, without any further comments from the audience and no comments from the council, I will now declare public hearing on Ordinance 1058 to be concluded. The time is now 7:22. And we'll begin our council meeting. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The date is August 2nd, 2021. The time is now 7:22. I call to order a meeting of the Havre de Grace Mayor and City Council. I will call the roll. Council President Glenn.
Here.
Councilmember Ringsacker.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Councilmember Boyer.
Here.
Councilmember Zinner.
Here.
Councilmember Robertson.
Here.
All council members are present and accounted for. Please, ladies and gentlemen, could you kindly join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and the opening prayer? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If I could kindly ask everyone to please remain standing for a few more moments. It gives me pleasure to call forward Reverend Lynn Humphreys Russ of Wesleyan Chapel United Methodist Church. Good evening, and thank you very much for being here.
It's an honor and a privilege always, Mayor Martin.
Thank you. So happy to have you here this evening.
Let us bow our heads, please. Holy God, these men and women are gathered tonight to do the work that you have set before them. They're here to do the hard job of governing our town. As they wrestle with the struggles and conflicts, bless them with the intention to do everything with strength and toleration. Bless them with the ability to think strategically while focusing on the needs of the people. Bless them with the ability to work as your well-oiled team, making decisions with clarity, decisiveness, and unity. Bless them so they will do everything with care and consideration, knowing that all they do is with your help. I pray tonight that your blessings will rain upon these men and women. We pray to you by many names in our city, Holy God. Tonight, I pray in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Reverend, thank you so much. We appreciate your kind words. Item number 5 on this evening's agenda is the approval of the minutes. City Council meeting minutes of July the 19th, 2021. Council, have a motion to approve?
So move.
I have a motion by Councilmember Zinner. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Martin. Question or comments on the minutes? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. City Council meeting minutes from July the 19th, 2021 are approved by council 6-0 in the affirmative. We're going to go to item 6, comments from citizens on agenda items. This is the part of this evening's agenda that if you are here to speak on an item that is on the agenda, now is a good time to do so. If you're here because you wish to speak on another matter of city business not on this evening's agenda, we do have a space at the end of tonight's meeting where you can speak to the council. So does anybody here wish to speak on an item on the agenda? Okay. We will go to item 7, appointments. This evening we have several appointments. Board of Appeals, Historic Preservation Commission, Marina Commission, and Tourism Advisory Board. And so we will start off with the Board of Appeals, and I will have Council President Glenn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I make a motion for the reappointment of Candace Basoli to the Board of Appeals.
Council, I have a motion by the council president, seconded by Councilmember Robertson, for the reappointment of Ms. Candace Basali to the Board of Appeals. Questions or comments before the vote?
I got one.
CP?
I would just encourage council for a positive vote. Candace has been an invaluable member to the Board of Appeals, and a positive vote will allow her to continue her service as an invaluable volunteer.
Thank you very much, Council President. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The reappointment of Ms. Candace Basali to the Board of Appeals is approved by council 6-0 in the affirmative. Item B, Historic Preservation Commission reappointment, and I will hand that off to the Historic Preservation Commission liaison, Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you. I make a motion to reappoint Mrs. Kathleen Lee to the Historic Preservation Commission.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Zinner, seconded by Councilmember Ring-Socker for the reappointment of Ms. Kathleen Lee to the Historic Preservation Commission. Questions or comments?
I just want to thank Mrs. Lee for putting herself forward again for the reappointment. She's been a very valuable and prolific attendee and letter writer and researcher to the council. And even last year, when we had some resignations, she enlisted her husband to also join the Historic Preservation Commission. So we enjoy having them both on the commission, and thank you for stepping up again.
Thank you, Councilmember Zinner. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The reappointment of Ms. Kathleen Lee to the Historic Preservation Commission is approved by council 6-0 in the affirmative. Thank you. Marina Commission reappointment, and I will hand that off to the council liaison for the Marina Commission, Councilmember Ring-Socker.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I make a motion to reappoint Mr. Rocky DiGiovanni Jr. to the Marina Commission.
Council, I have a motion by Councilman Ring-Socker, seconded by Council President. This is for the reappointment of Mr. Rocco DiGiovanni to the Marina Commission. Question or comments? Councilman Ring-Socker.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Mr. DiGiovanni, he's a good friend, good man to have on the commission. He's, I think, the youngest member on there, so he adds a unique perspective of voting from just a complete different view from some of the other members on the commission. He's very helpful, and he's definitely an asset to the commission, and I do ask that he gets reappointed.
Thank you very much, Councilman Ring-Socker. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Reappointment of Mr. Rocco DiGiovanni to the Marina Commission carries 6-0 in the affirmative. We'll go to item D, Tourism Advisory Board. We have one new appointment and two reappointments, and I'll hand that off to the council liaison, Councilmember Martin.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. I make a motion for the reappointment of Susan Deeney and William Watson to the Tourism Advisory Board.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Martin for the reappointments of Ms. Susan Deeney and Mr. William Watson to the Tourism Advisory Board. Do I have a second? Second by the Council President. Questions or comments? Councilmember Martin?
And both these two members have been very active with the Tourism Advisory Board. They're looking forward to working with our newest economic director. She has attended our first meeting, and it's been a positive note. So they are very positive and looking forward to the future of Havre de Grace.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Martin. Any other further questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say nay. The reappointments of Ms. Susan Deeney and Mr. William Watson to the Tourism Advisory Board carry 6-0 in the affirmative. Councilmember Martin?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we add Carol Allen as an appointee to the Tourism Advisory Board.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Martin for the reappointment of Ms. Carol Allen, or, I'm sorry, for the appointment of Ms. Carol Allen to the Tourism Advisory Board. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Zinner. Questions or comments on the appointment for Mrs. Allen? Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, Carol has been a city resident since 2008. She's become more and more active within the city. She will be assuming the role of the liaison for the museums on the Tourism Advisory Board.
Perfect. Thank you, Councilmember Martin. Any other questions or comments? Okay, this is a vote for Ms. Carol Allen for an appointment to the Tourism Advisory Board. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The appointment of Ms. Carol Allen to the Tourism Advisory Board carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Okay, those are all of our reappointments and appointments this evening. We go to item number 8, which is oath of office. And I would be honored if Ms. Allen could join me in the front well here, please. And Councilmember Martin. Congratulations, Mrs. Allen. Thank you so much for being willing to serve and give up your valuable time on Tourism Advisory Board. So we appreciate it. And congratulations on your new job. Thank you. Thank you so much for, Lighthouse is going to be in good hands. So we're going to take the oath of office as a sworn commission member for the City of Havre. So I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand, please. I'm going to say the word I. When I say the word I, repeat the word I, but also say your name.
Okay.
I
I, Carol Allen,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will fulfill
that I will fulfill
the requirement of the office I'm about to assume,
the requirement of the office I'm about to assume,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I'll support the Constitution of the United
that I'll be faithful
States, that I'll be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
thereof,
and laws thereof,
that I will faithfully and impartially,
that I will faithfully and impartially,
without fear of favor or prejudice,
without fear of favor or prejudice,
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as a member of the Tourism Advisory Board,
as a member of the Tourism Advisory Board
City of Havre de Grace,
for the City of Havre de Grace,
best of my abilities.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations again. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Well done. Thank you.
Thanks.
Happily present this to you as well as the flag of our city. May I have a picture with you and I, Councilor Martin? We'll move on to number 9 on this evening's agenda. Recognitions. This evening, we have no recognitions. Item 10, proclamations. This evening, we have no proclamations. Item 11, presentations. There are no presentations this evening, which takes us to item 12. Item 12 is resolutions. We have no resolutions on the agenda. Item 13, ordinances. There are no ordinances on this evening agenda. Item 14, old business, and there is no old business. That takes us right to new business. item 15, and we have several special events to be approved by council this evening, and I will hand off each event to Director of Administration, Mr. Gamatoria.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And council, this evening, we have 3 special events for your consideration. The first one is the Concord Point Lighthouse reopening celebration, sponsored by the Friends of Concord Point Lighthouse. This event will occur on Saturday, the 7th of August, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. In your packet, you'll notice there's a very detailed map, as well as the costing sheet from both the Police Department and Department of Public Works. The total cost for the event from DPW is $375.75 with no cost associated with the Police Department. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Council, may I have a motion to approve the Concord Point Lighthouse reopening celebration?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Martin, second by Councilmember Boyer. Question or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Concord Point Lighthouse reopening celebration, August 7th, 2021, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Concord Point Park and Lighthouse grounds is approved by council, 6-0 in the affirmative. Thank you. Mr. Gamatoria.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And council, the second event this evening is called the Bay Paddle. This is part of a oyster recovery event that's sponsored by the Havre Grace Alliance. This will occur down at Concord Point Park on Friday, the 27th of August at 9 a.m., and it'll conclude at 11 a.m. And council, you may recall a few years ago, maybe last year, the gentleman, Mr. Chris Hopkinson, did a bay paddle from Havre Grace down to the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay, and he raised about $180,000 toward the oyster recovery. So this is a little bit different event. It's going to involve a number of paddlers, and they're going to make their way through a sort of like a relay event that'll start at Concord Point. City services offered for this will be very minimal. The police department will handle it on normal patrol. DPW, $25.75. The launchers will launch in the area of the beach and or the pier and the tip of where the rock jetty is, depending on the tide.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gamatoria. Council, I have a motion to approve Bay Paddle. Motion by the council president, seconded by Councilman Ringsacher. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Bay Paddle, August 27, 2021, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., Concord Point Park. Carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Sir?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, the last event this evening for your consideration is an addendum to the original event application. It's for the 58th Annual Havre Grace Art Show. The sponsor will be the Friends of Concord Point Lighthouse. And as you recall, when the initial application was placed, the former Seroptimus group was looking for a sponsor. They've landed with the Friends of Concord Point Lighthouse. The event will be a Saturday and Sunday event. It'll be December 23rd and 24th. The times will be 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. The event will occur in 2 locations, Tidings Park and over at the Concord Point area of the Concord Point Lighthouse.
Thank you very much. Council, I have a motion to approve the 58th Annual Havre Grace Art Show addendum.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Robertson, second by Councilmember Zinner. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. 58th Annual Havre Grace Art Show addendum, planned for October 23rd to 24th, 2021, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Tidings Memorial Park and Concord Point Park, is approved by council, 6-0 in the affirmative. We'll go on to item 16 this evening, which is the report from our directors, and we'll start off with the Director of Administration.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few events coming up I thought I'd mention to council. Of course, this Friday is First Friday, August the 6th, from 5 to 9:30 downtown Havre de Grace. We're looking forward to another spectacular Friday evening and look forward to seeing everybody down there. On August the following day, the Saturday, so August the 7th, the 4th Annual Wine and Jazz Festival will be held down at the Lockhouse Museum down at the North Park. This is the 4th annual event that was raised money for the Havre de Grace Color School Foundation. Those that have attended in the past have said that it's an outstanding event. Tickets are $35 in advance, $40 at the gate, and those that are designated drivers will be $15 to enter. There are also several food trucks and a number of local breweries as well as wineries involved. So that'll be Saturday. Finally, on August the 21st and 22nd, the Havre de Grace Waterfront Festival will occur. That'll be our kickoff event with steel drum music, food trucks, beer garden, and a lighted boat parade, which will occur on that Friday evening. The event starts on Friday evening the 20th and goes through Sunday, August the 22nd. It'll be located at Concord Point Park. A Mermaid Cove will be set up at Mermaid Cove at Concord Point Park, and Hutchins Park will have a seafood cove. So we look forward to that event, and that's going to be sponsored, again, by the Havre de Grace Alliance. And that's all I have for you this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Gamtori. Graham's not here tonight as Director of Planning, so we're going to move on to Director of Economic Development, Richard Johnson.
Thank you. I was going to say Mayor and Council, and the Director of Administration, and the citizens of Havre de Grace. A couple quick housekeeping items. The past 2 weeks have flown by very quickly. I'm still in the process of really meeting with the different organizations in the city and building the infrastructure for my office. As we all know, the Office of Tourism will be reporting to the Office of Economic Development. So I'm looking forward to those two offices working together. I think it makes sense. Tourism is an economic driver in the city, and for the two organizations or the two offices to work better, it's just a more efficient way of moving economic development forward. I did have the opportunity, as Councilman Martin mentioned, to attend the TAB and EDAB meetings last month. It was my first time attending the Tourism Advisory Board meeting. I am very happy, and I did meet Carol Allen at that meeting, so I am looking forward to working with you. I know Susan Deeney and William Watson, who are not here tonight, so the reappointment of them to the Tourism Advisory Board is great. I have a long working relationship with them as well. So I look forward to both of those boards working together, understanding economic development and tourism and how the two of those work together. And I look forward to actually having some joint meetings and bringing you on board with that. So congratulations. And just a couple more things. I'm going to be meeting with the Havre de Grace Alliance and the Merchant Associations and several of our other organizations and nonprofits. And again, for the sole purpose of building the infrastructure that's really just going to help move our city forward. All of these organizations have different missions. They work well together. I'd like to get a handle on what everyone is doing and see how we could come under really one umbrella and just really work together and build that synergy between the organizations. So that is really all I have tonight, and thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Council have any questions for Ms. Johnson? Excellent. Thank you very much for your report. Good evening, Ms. Conaway. How's the Finance Department doing this evening?
is due by September 30th. That's it.
Excellent. Okay, thank you very much for the update. Appreciate it. Thanks for being here this evening. Good evening, Mr. Woody, Director of Department of Public Works. What are you working on? What are you working on publicly?
Few things. Lewis Street, we actually awarded that contract, and we're setting up a pre-construction meeting. That's to widen the street and correct the drainage issues that occur out there. And so that project has been awarded, purchase order been issued, and we're going to try to set up a pre-construction meeting. Girard Street, as I said before, that project has been awarded, and we're just going to have a quick community meeting with the residents tomorrow, kind of a Zoom meeting, just to go over, answer any questions, and then we're going to get Civil Utilities start working on that project and moving forward with that design to correct that drainage issue that occurs in the flooding from the backyards. So we'll work on that. If you've noticed that on Commerce Street, the engineer Humphrey Construction Company has started work on the sewer rehabilitation replacement at Commerce Street. So they've done test pitting. They're going to do one quick cammering to make sure they line up the sewer connection, the laterals. They're going to start work on that, as well as they start a little bit repairing some manholes and some connections out there. Old Bay Lane, we met with the Army National Guard, answered any questions they had. I had a few minor changes to the plan. I'm going to beef up culvert for them and then help out with some grading on there. Get that project and get that one kick-started, and Gettner's ordering supplies, so we're still things are kind of slowing up with that. National Guard pump station, that also has been sent to the Army for final review and also to MD for final permit, so we'll be putting that project out for notice for construction probably in the next, I'm going to say, month and a half. And then with just Aberdeen water line, we're still working through materials. Same as the intake pipe. It's just a tough time getting construction materials, intake pipe. And we did send out the solid handling facility is out for contract for construction. We have 2 bidders that are working on that. And we have some questions to get done and get that. That's August 6th. We're going to select the contractor for that one. That is the really, obviously it's to help out with the sediment issues we talked about before, the overload from backwashing. We're working in conjunction with the county too, so we will cease pushing our backwash from our water treatment plants into the sewer system, which will greatly take the load off the wastewater treatment plant and increase its efficiency. And and then one last project we're working on is the scum line. It actually goes from it comes from the intake system, and it goes at the headworks and goes into one of the main filters when it should go back into the pretreatment. And it's causing a little overwork because the circular filter system, it fills up with plastics and grease when it should be going through the pretreatment first. We're not quite sure how that got lined up, so we're redirecting that pipe. That's in engineering. We just reviewed 100% engineering drawings on that, get that moving. That'll also help tremendously with the efficiencies of the wastewater treatment plant and reduce our costs on maintenance, because right now we've got to go into that filter and skim it out, the grease and plastics and everything else that's bypassing the headworks. So, there's a couple of things we're working on, and then just waiting on the final report on the main, force main, which is another, as we talked about before, we're probably going to have to spend about $150,000 on the valves and air release valves. But all things told, the initial reports is that the actual pipe itself, as far as any kind of damage, is actually we're cross fingers, but the preliminary, it's in really good shape. So that's kind of a relief. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks for the detailed report, Mr. Whitty. Any council members have any questions? Thanks again.
Thanks.
Good evening, Chief Walter.
Good evening, Mayor. It's hard to follow up backwash and redirected gum lines, but I'll try to do my best. No.
But there's a segue somewhere, right?
I know. Geez. No, I just want to talk about a few things when it comes to some of the incidents that we've seen here recently with crime prevention and getting into that mindset about crime prevention, we did receive a call of a theft of a wallet from a lady at Wise Market. And I just wanted to remind people that, especially women, I'm going to pick on the men here in a minute, but especially women, because we all have a tendency to put our purses right in the little seating area. And then we get distracted while we're checking the shelves or looking at our list or, on our cell phones, doing stuff. And unfortunately, people will pilfer your purse or your wallet, that type of thing. You might not even know that that is happening until you get to the register. So please, please really pay attention to that. If you have to just hold on to your purse, that's extremely important. Because again, it's just a matter of opportunity. That's all that it is. Now for the men, what we are seeing is men keep their wallets sometimes in their cars, either unlocked or even locked. So again, once again, I'm reminding people, please do not leave any valuables in your vehicle, whether your vehicle is locked or not locked. Lots of times over the night, people will walk through, they'll check the door just to see if your doors are locked. If they're not, that's an easy access for them. Or if they see something really enticing in there, they will break into the car. So please remove those articles that you think that are valuable, or just keep them out of sight. And then finally, the other thing that I want to remind people about is if for some reason or if by chance you do have your vehicle broken into, your house broken into, your sheds, whatever, if you have some type of equipment or appliance that has a serial number, please record that serial number. Or if you put your own identifying number on it, again, record that somehow. We also like it if you could do a make and a model, take a good picture of it, anything like that, and keep that, because we can, if we have that information, we can actually enter that information into a national database so that if another law enforcement agency comes across it, if it's pawned someplace or something like that, they can run those numbers and it'll come back and it'll show that we were the ones that entered it into the computer. But if we do happen to recover your information or recover some property, if you cannot positively identify it, it makes it very, very difficult for us to return it to you. So again, they're not difficult things. It's kind of a mindset for crime prevention, but once you start doing it on a daily basis, it's easy. It's not all that difficult. There's not a heavy lift to it. So I didn't live up to the backwash and redirecting of gum lines, but I tried.
You haven't lived till you've dealt with sewage.
So that would be my report, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Chief. Appreciate it. Council, any questions for the Chief?
I have one.
Yes, sir.
Council President?
Is there anything going on tomorrow night for National Night Out?
Yes, the Housing Authority right now is having their National Night Out starting at 5 o'clock in the evening. Yes, sir. They're a phenomenal group. They always have National Night Out. We love it. We really do.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other questions for the Chief? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We're going to go to item 17 on the agenda, business from the mayor's office. Just a couple things I want to talk about real quick. COVID's sneaking back onto the vocabulary lately. We've been monitoring some local numbers. State positivity rate recently is around 3.2%. Hartford County since June 21st has picked up 303 cases. Our city, Havre Grace, since June 21st has picked up 19 new cases. I wouldn't, compared to last fall, I wouldn't call these barn-burning numbers, but they're still numbers of concern because for a while there, we didn't have any cases per week for a while, and then maybe one. But they're starting to creep up again, and I want to remind citizens that this virus will be around for a long time. I mean, regardless how many people get vaccinated or not, it's like a common cold. You can't eradicate it. It's just going to be there. Don't want to see anybody get sick or end up in a hospital. But, I mean, there's really three different camps of citizens. You have those who are fully vaccinated. You have citizens who are kind of like riding the fence, not quite sure, might be too new, want to see how things go. And then you have citizens that do not want to get the vaccine. So I fully respect people's rights not to get the vaccine. So I'm going to talk about that, but talk about people who are kind of riding the fence and maybe want to see how things go a little bit with the vaccine. I encourage you, now's a good time to hop off the fence and go get a vaccine shot. Over 160 million Americans have got the vaccine, And so if you ever wanted, you know, to see a good experiment, that's a pretty good experiment. 160 million people, and you know, are there side effects? Sure. You know, everybody tells you about, you know, I got the Moderna shot or the Pfizer shot, and I felt sick the next day. But you know, to my knowledge, every medicine in the world you take might have a side effect. Whether you take blood pressure medicine or whether you know, sometimes you take an ibuprofen and it might have a side effect. I just don't. When you're, I've been reading some stories over the weekend. Some friends I know down in Annapolis, they weren't vaccinated, and his whole household ended up extremely sick, extremely sick. Just when you thought this was all over, and he literally told me on the phone, "Man, I wish I would have got vaccinated." He wasn't even against the vaccine; he just was too busy, he said, to get vaccinated. You know, so again, I'm not a public health official up here. I'm just a mayor of a city that's concerned about my citizens. And if you fall in a category where you're too busy, or you're not quite sure, or you're riding the fence, you know, just take the time and go do it. If you don't want the vaccine, I'm not, you know, there's no need to have that discussion, because you have a right to do what you want with your body. But again, I just want to see people get healthy. Be careful. You know, it's still floating around, and it seems to be really affecting pretty harshly the unvaccinated. So be careful, everybody. Would love to see this farther and farther behind in a rearview mirror. Speaking of rearview mirrors, you know, objects are closer than they appear, right? So this is kind of creeping up on us. So anyway, be careful out there, my fellow citizens, when it comes to COVID, and be smart. But finally, I want to share a story. Some of you may have noticed that, well, I don't know if you noticed or not, it was only one night, but last night we changed the color lights in the city from purple to orange. And we even did it to the lighthouse for just 1 week, for the lighthouse and the rockfish down there at the point. But anyway, so this is what we're doing. So a couple weeks ago, I got an email from a nice lady named Ashley, and she just moved here to Havre de Grace back in the early spring. And she loves our city. I mean, who doesn't love Havre de Grace, right? I'm just saying. But she moved here with her young son, Benjamin. I think Benjamin is under 2 years old. And Benjamin suffers from what's called SMA, and that stands for spinal muscular atrophy. And what it is, it's a condition where your first set of survival motor neurons are missing or broken, and in turn, you have a second set that develop, and it can only make up to 5 to 10% of the original sets. And sometimes a lot of little babies who get it don't live to the age of 2. She was telling me about her young son, Ben, is on a new type of gene therapy, and he's actually doing really well. And and she sent me a picture of her little son. He's a real fighter, but he's also a Havre de Grace kid now, you know, and so we always stick by our own Havre de Grace people, no matter what age they are. And so she sent me this very touching email a couple weeks ago, just asking me if she knew who was in charge of the colors of the lights, and I happen to know who's in charge. So I said, you know what? We got good news for you. The city's going to rally behind young Ben and your family and all the other kids out there that are exposed to spinal muscular atrophy. So for 2 weeks downtown, the colors will be purple and orange, which are the colors that are represented, and we did the lighthouse and rockfish for 1 week. And so I just want to let everybody know why the lights were that way. And so again, keep young Ben in your prayers, and cities behind him. And we also will be, I've been in talks with Hartford County, Ambush Roads. Hartford County always does an observance in September for recovery awareness, National Recovery Awareness Month, and that color's purple. So probably the first week or so in September, the city will be going purple. Not to be confused with the Ravens opener. They sure did pick a great color for September, didn't they, for awareness? But anyway, kind of like it'll blend into the Ravens home opener game. But no, so if you see the lights purple, it's because the city of Havre de Grace is standing strong with all of our fellow citizens who are fighting addiction and are working on the path of recovery. So just a heads up there. With that, hey, I'm gonna conclude my comments, and I want to thank everybody for a good meeting, and hope everybody stays safe and continue enjoying the good summer weather, and we'll see you back here in 2 weeks. And we'll go to council comments. We'll start with Councilmember Ringsacher.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I'll be real quick. Wanted to note that my favorite philanthropy, Shriners Hospital for Children, we treat spinal muscular atrophy. Free treatment for any kid that has it, orthopedic injuries, burns, stuff like that. So with that, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Ringsacher. Appreciate it. Comments from Councilmember Boyer. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming today.
Microphone.
Beautiful day outside. Oh my gosh. Oh, looked like it was orange. I'm going to get better at this, I promise. So, thank you very much. Now, talking about purple lights, something you might have noticed around town is that a lot of our street lights are turning purple. There's a manufacturer's defect with these lights, and what we need to do is start collecting the numbers on the pole. So every pole has a number associated to it, and there's a number that you can call to BGE to report it. If you could start sending or emailing those numbers to me so I can keep a list, because I've noticed in the past 2 weeks especially, the number of purple lights is starting to increase. This is a national issue, and I started Googling it because I just couldn't understand why all the lights were turning purple. It started with the one right out here, outside of the city council office. So please let's start collecting them because they are supposed to be replaced by BGE. It is BGE's responsibility. It's not necessarily the city's responsibility to replace them. It is BGE's responsibility. I want to thank the Arts Commission for another wonderful season of the concerts at the park, and I especially want to thank them for selecting Middle of Nowhere to be the last group to play. I enjoyed this last Friday very much, mainly because my next door neighbor, Bay Wittig, Little Bay, was the drummer and he was playing. But it was great to see all the kids from the high school music program being able to come together and form a band, and for so many people in the community to come out and listen to them play. It was a great way to support our young adults. As they transition into the, pursuing the pleasures of their lives. Last week, the Tree Commission met, and I wanted to let you all know about some of our goals, our main goals. The first is we want to continue to prioritize trees within the city along the main thoroughfares, Union, Washington, Congress, Revolution, and then start spreading out to some of the other more visible locations like Juniata, Ostego, etc., to replenish the trees, to make sure that we constantly have that canopy being preserved. We want to increase our outreach opportunities, focusing on the tree walk as well as the website so that people know where you can and cannot plant a tree, and have the resources available to be able to select the correct tree to be planting on your property. And finally, we want to promote programs to help protect the city's trees from pests. There are a couple of more natural solutions other than chemically treating the trees, to include encouraging the pleated woodpecker and bat locations, because they go after the pests that are attacking and boring into the trees. So those are the three priorities, largest priorities of the Tree Commission meeting. I want to give kudos to Jimmy Burrell and his wife April for the incredible mural that they're putting on to the Public Works building for the water treatment facility. It's very, very cool, and I encourage you all to stop and look. We're getting more and more of these great murals, and it's great to walk around town and find these hidden treasures. And I also want to thank everyone at DPW and everyone in the city who worked on the railroad crossing on Revolution. It's so pleasant now to go over that. It's so smooth. I don't feel like I'm going to hurt something, and riding my bike was even safer feeling. So thank you very much. And with that, I turn it over to the next person. Thank you all.
Thank you very much for your comments, Councilmember Boyer. Good evening, Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council, citizens. I'm going to be very brief this evening. First, I want to thank everyone who came out tonight to be reappointed or to be appointed to the various commissions. It was a great showing, and we certainly appreciate all the work that you do during your term as a commissioner. We have some openings. We have an opening on the Historic Preservation Commission, and we also have several openings on the Arts Commission. So if you're listening to this and you're interested in volunteering in either one of those commissions, please get in touch with City Hall, and we'll get you an application and move that forward the best that we can. The other thing I just wanted to mention is the Independence Day Commission will not be meeting in August. However, the HPC Commission will be meeting in City Hall next Tuesday at 7 p.m., and the Arts Commission will be meeting the last Tuesday of the month at 6:30 p.m. They met last week, and most of their work was centered around finalizing details for the children's arts show that they're going to be doing later on in the fall. So there'll be more information to follow on that, along with you'll see signs around town pretty soon. They're having some signs made, and also looking at ways to advertise and get the word out, either on the local radio station as part of a nonprofit effort, and in the library, because they're going to actually be a sponsor of some of the artwork for pre-K, kindergarten, first and second grade, third, fourth, and fifth grades. That's a tradition that they've had in the past that's going to be reinstated with this year's art show, children's art show. So they're my comments for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Zinner. Good evening, Councilmember Robertson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, fellow council members, city staff, ladies and gentlemen here and at home. Just a few things to put out. So we spoke about First Friday a little bit. This coming Friday, First Friday will be the first Friday of the season of the year in 2 years now that we'll have a kid zone. And the Youth Commission will be running the kid zone. So stop by, say hi to the folks at the Youth Commission. Also, for First Friday, the American Legion will have Great Train Robbery starting at 7 p.m. So be sure to stop by and check that out. Also at the American Legion, Josh Christina will be performing September 25th. If you're not familiar, Josh Christina is a phenomenal piano player. He does Jerry Lee Lewis and Elton John. I don't want to say impressions, but I mean, he does the music of Jerry Lee Lewis and Elton John, and everywhere he performs, he sells out quick. So the Legion's doing a dinner and show for that, and the total cost is $35. That includes beer, wine, dinner, and the show, September 25th. Tickets are up on Eventbrite, or you can find the event on the Facebook page for the Legion or the Havre Grace patch. August 14th, the Opera House is going to have what's called Poetry in Motion. It's like a day's worth of Indian style dancing. So it's a whole dance troupe that does Indian dancing. So two different events. One is children storytelling and dance that starts at 1 p.m. at the Opera House. And then the second dance group performs at 6:30 in the evening. So try and make it to one of those, 1 p.m. For the family and 6:30 for the big ones. And those tickets can be found at operahouse.org or again on the Facebook pages for the Opera House or the Arts Collective. And finally, August 21st, the American Legion's hosting a poker run with a 10 a.m. registration. It's motorcycles, so come on out, bring your bike. It's supporting a good cause. It's the Hartford and Cecil Boys and Girls Club. So come out, check that out. We'll be doing some stops and then coming back by 3 p.m. for food and music. So, Mr. Mayor, that's all I got.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Robertson. Good evening, Councilmember Martin.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, citizens. Water and Sewer Commission will be meeting Friday, August 13th at 3 o'clock here at City Hall. And then Tourism Advisory will be meeting August 18th, again here at City Hall at 3 o'clock. That's all I have.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Martin. Business from the council president.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and fellow council members. I only have a couple quick comments tonight. First, I too want to publicly thank Tim Whitty for the outstanding work on Old Post Road and Revolution Street right there by Lewis Lane. What a huge improvement, like Councilmember Boyer said, and there's many cars in Havre that are thanking you. Second, I want to give a shout out to Jimmy Sheen. Many of the old timers know that Jimmy grew up in Havre de Grace, and he grew up in a family that liked powerboat racing. And Jimmy started racing powerboats when he was 8 years old. Well, I happened to be Googling last week, and I found out that Jimmy captured his fifth Gold Cup in the H1 Unlimited Racing Series at Madison, Indiana. And that's a huge thing. I mean, when we're talking about racing some of the fastest boats in the world. And Jimmy is one of the best. And, you know, to give you an example, he's driving Miss Home Street, and Miss Home Street is right now the leading point getter for the H1 Unlimited Series to be the national champion. So they've got 2 races left, and there's a good chance that with Jimmy behind the wheel that they're going to come away with the national championship. So, Jimmy, I just want to tell you that the city of Havre de Grace is really proud of what you've had accomplished. Last but not least, Ben, my thoughts and prayers are with you. We wish you nothing but the best. And, Mr. Mayor, that's all I have.
Well said, Council President. Thank you very much for your comments. We're going to go to item 19 on this evening's agenda. It's comments from citizens. This is the part of this evening's meeting. If you wish to address the council on any other matter of city business that wasn't on the agenda, please raise your hand and be recognized. Okay, any additional comments from council? Okay, with no comments from citizens, no comments from council, do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
A motion by the council president, seconded by Councilmember Martin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to adjourn the August 2nd meeting is approved 6-0 in the affirmative. The time is now 8:14, and thank you very much, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of a couple weeks. I'll see you next time.